Thank you, Chairman Scott, Ranking Member Fox, and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify today. I'd like to begin my testimony by applauding the relief funding for childcare providers that Congress included in the recent American Rescue Plan. The childcare industry was among the hardest hit sectors of the economy during the COVID-19 pandemic, and without these much needed funds, many more programs would have permanently closed. I'm also heartened to see that $25 billion has been included in the President's American Jobs Plan, a timely infrastructure investment that will help upgrade childcare facilities so that providers can meet important health and safety protocols that can reduce the risk of coronavirus transmission. But what I'm really excited to discuss with you all is the prospect of a once-in-a-generation investment that would dramatically transform our childcare system. For far too long, childcare has been an economic barrier for families and, consequently, a restraint on our nation's economic growth. Parents are rarely prepared for the high costs of childcare, and on the provider side, a broken childcare funding model means many early educators earn poverty wages. The primary source of revenue funding our childcare providers right now are the tuition and fees that parents pay. But only the richest families earn enough to cover what it costs to provide high-quality childcare. Now, decades of public underinvestment has resulted in a market-based system where families with higher incomes have better childcare choices available to them. And we've allowed something that should be narrowing opportunity gaps to become an engine of inequality, with the early care and education workforce paying a price at every stage. Now, here are the facts. The Child Care Development Block Grant program that's supposed to make care affordable only reaches 1 in 7 eligible children. Head Start serves fewer than half of eligible children. State-funded preschools only enroll 34% of 4-year-olds and 6% of 3-year-olds. And more than half of American families live in childcare deserts where there simply aren't enough licensed providers nearby. This puts middle-class families in a precarious position, with childcare issues forcing millions of parents, and almost always mothers, to reduce their hours worked, to leave school, or leave the labor force. My research has shown that in 2018, more than 2 million parents experienced some kind of childcare-related job disruption. I think it's safe to say that number was much higher in 2020. But as surely as there are costs from this problem, there are huge benefits that flow from policy solutions. Childcare gaps may mean fewer women in the labor force, but solving this problem will allow for more women to join the labor force. And a recent Harvard study analyzing more than 125 policy interventions found that the most cost-effective policies from a public standpoint invested in the education and health of young children. But the basic inputs for economic growth are the size of the labor force and the productivity of that labor force. By providing the stability and economic relief that comes from a well-funded, broadly accessible childcare system, we should expect positive effects on both of those inputs. Investing in the potential of the American workforce has never failed to yield positive returns. I'll finish by highlighting the bold childcare legislation introduced last week by Chairman Bobby Scott. The Child Care for Working Families Act would finally establish a comprehensive birth to 5 childcare system. This bill would move to an entitlement approach to childcare funding, which is the most sustainable path to a system that can serve all the families that need it. It would build upon the current childcare market, preserving parental choice and investing in a variety of models, including home-based childcare and family friend and neighbor care. And it would make childcare free for low-income families and truly affordable for the middle class, with a typical family paying about $9 a day. It would raise wages for early educators, but it would also fund professional development, establish scholarships for credentials, and partner with higher education institutions to develop a pipeline of qualified future early educators. And this bill would do all of this while keeping a focus on equity, expanding access first for low-income families, children with disabilities, dual language learners, children from underserved ethnic and racial groups, and for geographic areas with low access. I want to thank you again for inviting me to this hearing, and I look forward to answering your questions.